Hello boys and girls of grade 5. I am teacher Melinda Hughes, and today I am delighted to be here with you. This is because for today we'll be doing a fun activity. This activity is called questions and answers. These questions are based on topics that you would have been introduced to in grade 5 social studies. So I want to invite you to get your quiz book. And just in case this is the first time you're tuning in, I want to encourage you to have an exercise book that you will later on paper quite neatly, label it with your name, and also social studies quiz for grade 5, so that you'll be able to trace your progress and also see how you have been doing to maintain your good position or work to improve that which needs to be. As we do this segment, I must let you know that there will be 15 multiple choice questions. Multiple choice simply means that for each question, 4 answers will be provided. But the fun thing is that only one of those answers is correct. And you will have an opportunity to get it right. Why is that so? Because the answer is right there in front of you to choose. So boys and girls, as we go through this section, I want to encourage you to maintain honesty, simply because that's one of the very good moral practices that anyone can have and maintain as they grow and interact with each other in life. So, honesty is the best policy. I want to encourage you to maintain that as we do this segment. For this segment, there will be 15 questions. So, in your book, you will head up quite neatly and then write numbers 1 to 15. For each question, you are required to only write the letter that you think has the correct answer for that particular question. So now that you are ready, let's get going. Question 1. Which of the following foods are associated with the Portuguese peoples? Which of the following foods are associated with the Portuguese peoples? A, B, C, or D? For question 2. Questions 2 and 3 are based on the map of the world. So you have to study it very carefully, and then you'll be able to write the answers for questions 2 and 3. So the map there shows the continents, and there are some letters to identify specific areas on the map. Study it very carefully so that you can answer questions 2 and 3. So now that you've had a chance to look very carefully and closely at the map, let's do questions 2 and 3. Question 2. The East Indians crossed the oceans labeled. The East Indians crossed the oceans labeled A, B, C, or D? Question 3. Which of the following groups of ancestors came from the continent labeled Y? Which of the following groups of ancestors came from the continent labeled Y? A, B, C, or D? Question 4. Which of the following is an effect of global warming? Which of the following is an effect of global warming? A, B, C, or D? Question 5. Which of the following activities can cause our waterways to become unsafe? Which of the following activities can cause our waterways to become unsafe? A, B, C, or D? Question 6. Which of the following is not recommended for maintaining good health? Which of the following is not recommended for maintaining good health? A, B, C, or D? Write the letter that you think has the correct answer for question 6. And you will continue to do the same as we go on. Question 7. Which of the following are likely to result from the earth getting warmer and drier? Which of the following are likely to result from the earth getting warmer and drier? There are 3 answers, and then they are combined to make the answers for A, B, C, or D. So, Roman numeral 1, increased drought. Roman numeral 2, noise pollution. And Roman numeral 3, melting ice caps. For question 7, there is a combination for you to choose from either A, B, C, or D. Questions 8 and 9 are based on the scenario. Study the scenario below, then answer questions 8 and 9. In that scenario, we see two children, Jane and Peter. And Peter is shouting something at Jane. What is he saying? "Give me your lunch." And as you can notice in the picture, his hands are across, trying to pull away what Jane has. Question 8. Peter's action can be best described as Peter's action can be best described as A, B, C, or D. For question 9, which of the following actions would be a more acceptable way for Peter to get Jane to share her lunch with him? Which of the following actions would be a more acceptable way for Peter to get Jane to share her lunch with him? A, B, C, or D? Question 10. Which of the following CARICOM institutions has the role of helping member states to develop their economies? Which of the following CARICOM institutions has the role of helping member states to develop their economies? A, B, C, or D? Write the letter that you think has the correct answer for question 10. Question 11. Which of the following monuments reminds Guyanese of both Dutch and French occupation in Guyana? Which of the following monuments reminds Guyanese of both Dutch and French occupation in Guyana? A, B, C, or D? Question 12. Which of the natural regions of Guyana is the most densely populated? Which of the natural regions of Guyana is the most densely populated? A, B, C, or D? Question 13. The rivers which separate Guyana from Brazil are the rivers which separate Guyana from Brazil are the A, B, C, or D. Write the letter that you think has the correct answer for question 13. And now we move on. Question 14. Study the picture of the instrument below, then answer question 14. The instrument in the picture will give information on A, B, C, or D. Write the letter next to number 14 that you think has the correct answer. And our last question for this segment is question 15. Which of the following elements of weather refers to the amount of water in the Earth's atmosphere? Which of the following elements of weather refers to the amount of water in the Earth's atmosphere? A, B, C, or D? Write the letter for question 15. Now, boys and girls, it's time for your reward. We will mark these questions together. And of course, like I've indicated before, you need to be honest. Do not erase if you have it incorrect. Or if you did not answer one of the questions or so, do not put in the answer as we mark. Remember, you are here to learn. And if you didn't get it all correct, then it means you have learned something, because the answer will tell you what you would have missed out on. So as we mark, I encourage you to remain and maintain honesty. Let's get going. Question 1. Which of the following foods are associated with the Portuguese peoples? A, pepper pot, dal, soup. B, cook-up, conky, sweetmeats. C, pancakes, fried rice, metaji. Or D, pancakes, stew beef, pastries. The answer to question 1 is D, pancakes, stew beef, and pastries. Which of the following foods are associated with the Portuguese people? Pancakes, stew beef, and pastries. Of course, all the other foods that are presented in the other answers are foods that were introduced by other ethnic groups. They are mixed, so we do not have foods that represent one particular ethnic group in the other options. Question 2. For questions 2 and 3, you had to study the map of the world. Of course, the map shows the continents and also oceans. So we have letter S, letter Y, letter R, and letter P, which are on particular continents. More specifically, S is on Asia, Y is on Europe, R is on Africa, and P is on South America. The letters T, X, and Q are on areas that represent where the oceans are found. So T is where the Indian Ocean is found, X is where the Atlantic Ocean is found, and Q is where the Pacific Ocean is found. So let's answer question 2. The East Indians crossed the oceans labeled A, T, and Q, B, X only, C, T and X, or D, Q and X. The answer to question 2 is C, T and X. The East Indians would have crossed the Indian and the Atlantic Ocean on their journey to British Guyana. Question 3. Which of the following groups of ancestors came from the continent labeled Y? And the continent labeled Y, boys and girls, is Europe. So let's see the answer for question 3. Which of the following groups of ancestors came from the continent labeled Y? A, Chinese and Africans, B, Africans and Europeans, C, Amerindians and Chinese, or D, Europeans and Portuguese. The answer to question 3 is D, Europeans and Portuguese. The Europeans and the Portuguese are our ancestors who came from the continent that is labeled Y, and that continent is Europe. Question 4. Which of the following is an effect of global warming? A, rise in sea levels, B, increase in population, C, growth of forested areas, or D, decreased emissions from cars. The answer to question 4 is A, rise in sea levels. Which of the following is an effect of global warming? Rise in sea levels. That is one of the effects that global warming has brought with it, rise in sea levels. And as a result, we have melting ice caps that leads or result to flooding, or we also have an increase in long periods of drought, and so that affects animals and plants. And also we have an increase in natural disasters, all because of global warming. Which of the following activities can cause our waterways to become unsafe? A, swimming, B, spills from vessels, C, smoke from factories, or D, diving for gold. The answer for question 5 is B, spills from vessels. Which of the following activities can cause our waterways to become unsafe? B, spills from vessels. Of course, that spill refers to oil. And so vessels that use our waterways, if there is an oil spill, of course we know it will make our waterways unsafe. Question 6. Which of the following is not recommended for maintaining good health? A, exercising in the park, B, drinking water, C, sleeping for at least 8 hours daily, or D, using antibiotic every day. The answer to question 6 is using antibiotic every day, D. Which of the following is not recommended for maintaining good health? Using antibiotic every day. Boys and girls, antibiotic is an example of a helpful drug. But of course, there is no one who should be using antibiotics every day. It will just weaken the immune system. Antibiotics are used for particular reasons as they are prescribed by a doctor. So if someone is using antibiotic every day, that means 365 days a year it definitely will not maintain good health. Which of the following are likely to result from the earth getting warmer and drier? That's question 7. 1. Increased drought. 2. Noise pollution. Or 3. Melting ice caps. Of course, there is a combination for the answer to this question. So, which of the following are likely to result from the earth getting warmer and drier? A. 1 and 2 only. B. 1 and 3 only. C. 2 and 3 only. Or D. 1, 2 and 3. The answer to question 7 is B. Increased drought and melting ice caps. So the answer for question 7 is B. 1 and 3 only. This is simply because when the Earth's atmosphere becomes warmer, it means that global warming has occurred and is continuing. And some of the effects of global warming are increased drought or long periods of dryness on the land or in the atmosphere, and also melting ice caps. That's because the heat increases in the atmosphere and temperature just allows such to result as it increases. Study the scenario, then answer questions 8 and 9. This is something that I'm sure you are familiar with, boys and girls, because sometimes there is that child, maybe a boy, maybe a girl, who behaves the way Peter does, as is demonstrated in the scenario. So there is Peter holding on to Jane's lunch and he is shouting, "Give me your lunch." Peter's action can be best described as A. Caring, B. Asking, C. Bullying, or D. Begging. The answer to question 8 is bullying, C. Of course, that just doesn't show caring. Neither is he asking nor begging, because to ask or even to beg, it will be done or it must be done in a very polite manner. So Peter could have said or should have said, "Please, can I share your lunch?" Or "Please, can you give me a piece or a part of your lunch?" in a very polite manner. Of course, boys and girls, politeness is one of the desirable behaviors that all humans, which includes children, should practice. And definitely, Peter is not practicing that. Which of the following actions would be a more acceptable way for Peter to get Jane to share her lunch with him? A. Grab it. B. Ask for it. C. Fight for it. Or D. Demand it. The answer to question 9 is B. Ask for it. So which one of the following actions would be a more acceptable way for Peter to get Jane to share her lunch with him? Definitely ask for it. Question 10. Which of the following CARICOM institutions has the role of helping member states to develop their economies? A. Caribbean News Agency. B. Caribbean Development Bank. C. Caribbean Examinations Council. Or D. Caribbean Meteorological Organization. The answer to question 10 is B. Caribbean Development Bank. Which of the following CARICOM institutions has the role of helping member states to develop their economies? The Caribbean Development Bank, also referred to as the CDB. The CDB, Caribbean Development Bank, provides finances, which means money, to assist CARICOM member states in developing their economies, or to assist if there is need whenever there is a national or natural disaster. So boys and girls, the Caribbean Development Bank takes care of assisting economically with finances. Which of the following monuments reminds Guyanese of both Dutch and French occupation in Guyana? A. Fort Zeelandia. B. The 1763 monument. C. The Chatumargo chimney. Or D. The Enmore Martyrs monument. The answer to question 11 is C. The Chatumargo chimney. Which of the following monuments reminds Guyanese of both Dutch and French occupation in Guyana? The Chatumargo chimney. Chatumargo is the name that was given by the French, but the building of the chimney was done by the Dutch. You would know, boys and girls, that most of our forts were built and set up by the Dutch because of trading. The Chatumargo chimney is one of those. Even though it's not a fort, it was built by the Dutch in order to serve as a guideline or as an indicator to ships as they came in through the Atlantic to the Demerara River. So the Dutch and the French have contributed to the history of Guyana. The Fort Zeelandia is one of the forts that were built by the Dutch in Essequibo, more specifically on Fort Island. Of course, the 1763 monument is related to and significant of the slaves, more specifically Kofi, as he fought with others for deliverance, for freedom from slavery. And the Enmore Martyrs monument was erected in memory of those 5 sugar workers who were killed after there was a confrontation with colonial police on Plantation Enmore. Question 12. Which of the following natural regions of Guyana is the most densely populated? A. The forested highland region. B. The low coastal plain. C. The interior savannas. Or D. The hilly sand and clay region. The answer to question 12 is B. The low coastal plain. Which of the natural regions of Guyana is the most densely populated? B. The low coastal plain. Of course, boys and girls, the word dense, from which densely is derived, means packed or crowded. And so the low coastal plain is that natural region that the population is crowded, it's packed. The other natural regions do have population, but of course, it is not as dense as the population on the low coastal plain. Question 30. The rivers which separate Guyana from Brazil are the A. Iring and Takatu, B. Wenamu and Iring, C. Rewa and Takatu, or D. Essequibo and Rupununi. The answer to question 13 is A. Iring and Takatu. The Iring and Takatu rivers are the 2 rivers that separate Guyana from its continental neighbor, Brazil. Number 14. Study the picture of the instrument below, then answer question 14. The instrument in the picture will give information on A. Wind direction, B. Humidity, C. The speed of the wind, or D. Atmospheric pressure. The answer to question 14 is C. The speed of the wind. That instrument, boys and girls, if you recognize it, I am sure you're saying it's an anemometer. Yes, the anemometer is one of the instruments that the meteorologists would use in order to predict weather. And the anemometer measures the speed of the wind. And our final question for this segment, question 15. Which of the following elements of weather refers to the amount of water in the Earth's atmosphere? A. Wind, B. Humidity, C. Sunshine, or D. Temperature. The answer to question 15 is B. Humidity. Which of the following elements of weather refers to the amount of water in the Earth's atmosphere? The answer is B. Humidity. Wind, sunshine, and temperature, of course, are other elements of weather. And of course, these elements, which include also humidity, help the meteorologist or meteorologists to predict weather. So these are all useful. So boys and girls, I am sure you are happy with your score. And just in case you are not, I want to encourage you to cheer up, because this is not the end. You still have more to do. You still have another chance. So what am I encouraging you to do? Read on some more. And as you do, next time around, be sure to improve if there is need to. If there is no need for improvement because you have scored 15 and you have been scoring 15 every time, then I congratulate you and I encourage you to continue. So until next time, boys and girls,